Greetings, wonderful people. I'm back. Jenik, Motivation Academy, with the Prashant book. PT. Scriptures for the now. A whole lot of rubbish. A whole lot of rubbish. No matter where you go on this planet, you will encounter rubbish. In the so-called developed countries, it is sort of hidden in stockpiles called landfills, some of which are the size of small countries. In the so-called developed countries, it is strewn all over everywhere. You cannot miss it no matter how hard you try. All sacred places have it. All lovely nature places have it. There is some local variation, beer bottles in the west, Gutka packets in the east. Development equals rubbish generation. More development means more rubbish. Most of it non-biodegradable. Rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. All this waste for nothing. Are people happier? No. Wasteful actions of a wasteful people, only rubbish spewing from their mouth, thoughts, and action. They talk about a whole lot of love, but the fact is just a whole lot of rubbish. It seems their love just produces rubbish. Its definition definitely needs looking into. Now I don't know if the wind, if the GoPro is picking up a lot of wind. I don't think so. It shouldn't be that bad. You should hear me good, because I have a microphone on its way, but right now I'm operating the GoPro without any microphone. Just the microphone on the GoPro itself. We'll see what it does. I'll do it for one video or two, then try another setup. Wash Mania! Ha! The Wash Mania! There is a whole lot of washing going on in this world. People repeatedly rubbing and scrubbing themselves, their cars and their homes. Kevin.
Hi.
Who's next on your shirt? The waters around the world get polluted, but the filth never goes away. After resilient bats, they still do not realize that only real filth is within. The enemy is not the dust, but the internal attitude, which is misaligned with the divine. And that won't go away by any amount of washing powders. Culture and agriculture. Culture and agriculture. The so-called West, which is basically just a term for translucent occupied territory, did not have any culture. So it is pointless to expect them to have agriculture. They did a really bad job of learning it too. And the worst part, they are spreading their own hellish, mechanical, chemical, genetically modified, anti-life version all over the planet. And even the worst part is that others have adopted this madness. The myth of independence. The word independence stands out amongst the many buzzwords of the 20th century. From an arbitrary reset, lots of violence has been unleashed for the sake of this word. Many proudly proclaim themselves as independent just because they are able to support themselves financially through one means or the other. So is financial independence independence? What about all the prisons in the mine? And is there any real financial independence? The day the banks say this credit account is not valid, one loses their fictional financial independence. Some goes for the hand-drawn line called countries. There have been major wars of independence. Same goes for the independence in America, India, and the rest. But who got independent and from whom? To my eyes, it's still a United Kingdom. Wonderful place here, eh? Wonderful place. All the so-called independent countries are all in debt to a mysterious organization called World Bank. World Bank. And all are dependent on it for loans to keep their pseudo-economies going. So when all the so-called countries got their so-called independence, it was only a sham, as the strings were now going to be pulled through a more intangible control tool: money. Military control took too much effort. Financial control was far easier. Nobody questioned anything because they were independent. On a personal level, this makes any person feel good. The ego is satisfied by the myth of independence, when the reality is that most are just pounds in a game. Just pounds in a game. The definition of independence has never been asked for Oxford Webster Dictionary. It's satisfactory enough for most. Is a person in a prison with metal bars not independent? They can think what they like, dream what they like, put their attention where they want to. The only real independence anyone ever had was to put their attention where they wanted to. The devil or the divine. This independence is called free will and cannot be taken away by any outside entity or force, unless one misuses it to an extent that admits the twists and tangles one feels. One doesn't have a choice anymore. Any other independence which is sold in this world is a soap bubble, which, as we all know, is not something which lasts too long. All these independences do is create an unhumble attitude, because after all, even the Jedis are dependent on the Force. Okay, 8 minutes. I'll be back.